Hello everyone, this is Parthasarathi and today's topic is receivables management. Okay, right. Let us see what is meant by receivables management. Okay, the term receivables is described as debt owed to the firm by the customers resulting from the sale of goods or services in the ordinary course of business. It simply says that in business we have two types of transactions, that is cash transactions and credit transactions. Cash transactions, whenever we sell our goods on cash basis, immediately we get the cash without any delay. Okay, right. If we have gone for credit sales, then our customers will pay the money after some period of time. That is, we will get money after some period of time. The time that we call it as receivables. That is, we have gone our business through credit, that is trade credit. See, here credit refers to you are not giving money, we are giving our goods, sale of goods on sale of goods or services on credit basis. That is, we are selling them to the credit basis. After some time you will get the money. Okay, when the company sell its products or service on credit, it does not receive cash for it immediately, but would be collected in near future, and it is termed as receivables. That is, we are not getting the cash immediately, after some time, after some period of time, that is in near future we get the money. Those we call it as receivables. Okay, right. Let us see account receivable process. Invoice or statement, that is we have sold the goods, payment is received, yes. Full payment, yes. Then invoice statement paid is full, that is the transaction is completed. Payment received, yes. If full payment, yes, then transaction is completed. If the payment is not full, that is only some amount is paid and the remaining is not yet paid, or the amount payment is not received by the company, not received to the company, then amount is overdue. That is, first during letter, second during running letter, and then final amount is final demand, final letter is sent to them to pay the money. Okay, see the simple one. Start credit sales, maintain the receivables, pertaining to present customers to whom why we will give the receivables, why we have to sell our goods in the form of credit sales is to retain our present customers. That is, if you don't sell our goods on credit basis, then our customers may move to some other product or some other company. So we have to hold our customers. In order to retain our customers, we are selling our products on credit basis. Okay, and to attract potential creditors, that is, in order to attract new creditors, we are giving this credit. And quick distribution of goods. If we go for credit sales, that is our goods are sold on credit basis, trade credit, then our goods are sold at a quickly and potential to face competition. That is, if we don't give credit base, we cannot be able to face the competition. So in order to retain our customers, to attract new customers, and to quick selling of our goods, and to potential to face the competition, we need our receivables. We have to sell our goods on credit basis. Why we have to sell is to expand our sales, higher profit level, and more liquidity. Because of this trade credit, we can expand our sales, there is high profit level and more liquidity is occurred. Okay, then coming to what are the advantages. As just now we have discussed about the advantages. Increased sales. Whenever we offer our goods on credit basis, then our sales are increased. See here, offering goods or service on credit enhances sales by holding customers and attracting potential customers. That is, potential customers is nothing but these are our customers who are interested to buy our product. If we give our products on credit basis, then they are ready to buy our product. Those we call them as potential customers. Then coming to increased market share. When the firm is able to maintain old customers and attract new customers, automatically the market share will be bigger to the extent new sales. That is, what is market share here? That is how many number of products are used by the customers when compared to the total customers. See here, for example, in adhesives market, which is having highest market share? Fevicol, Fevikwik, is it not? That is called as market share. That is, more number of products are sold by a particular company. Whenever the firm will maintain credit basis, then it will attract good number of customers, and as well as market share is increased, and as we know, as there is more number of sales, which leads to increase in profits, because it will produce more products with the fixed cost and less fixed cost, and sales of the product will sales of the products. That is, by reducing the cost and by increasing the profit, we can enhance our business. Okay, right. It is very simple sense that why we have to go for what are the advantages of this receivables management is, if the sales is increased, market share is increased, profits also increased. Okay, then coming to characteristics of receivables. Okay, see, that is, the characteristics of receivables are risk involvement. That is, we are selling our products now and we are getting the money after some time. Okay, so we don't know about the future. In future is always risk involvement. In future anything may happen. We are not sure that we get the money. So the receivables is always risk involvement. So since it is clearly mentioned here, receivables involve risk since payment takes place in future and future is uncertain. Okay, and it is based on the economic value. The economic value of goods or services passes to the buyer currently. In return, the seller expects an equivalence value from the buyer later. See, now we sold a product which is value of 1000 rupees, right? After 3 months, the buyer will pay the 1000 rupees. Okay, right. What this seller, that is our company, will expect the same value after 3 months. As we know, the time value of money, the value of money will decreases as the time passes away. Is it not? So what happened? If you sold the goods for 1000 rupees now, the customer, the seller, that is our company, will expect equivalent value after 3 months. That is, it will consider time value of money. Okay, and implies futurity. That is, it will, as it is not a cash payment, it is of credit payment which we receive after some period of time. That is, it is always future. Okay, right. Next one. Okay, credit policies. On which basis we will go for credit? Okay, credit policy is regarded with credit standards, credit period. See here, credit standards, credit period, and cash discount and collection. There are two types of credit policies, that is lenient credit policy and stringent or tight credit policy. Lenient credit policy is nothing but is the policy where the seller sells the goods on very liberal credit terms. That is, the credit terms and conditions are liberal. We are giving credit on liberal terms and conditions basis. In other words, we can say that goods are sold to the customers whose creditworthiness is not up to the standards, or those whose financial position is doubtful. That means lenient credit policy is nothing but we are selling the goods to all the customers whose creditworthiness. What is the creditworthiness here? Their capability of paying money back. See, if one person is having high creditworthiness, some person is having low level creditworthiness, and someone is having less creditworthiness. Is it not? That is, creditworthiness is nothing but what is the capacity of the particular company or a person who is able to pay back his amount back. For example, I have taken 1 lakh rupee or 10 lakh rupee in the form of credit. I can pay after some time. That is my credit. Okay. If I took 10 crores, 50 crores as a credit, right? And I'm not able to pay that much of amount because I don't have that much of credit worthiness. So lenient policy is nothing but it is selling the goods on liberal basis, and to the all the customers who is not having credit standards up to the mark. And stringent or tight credit policy is nothing but it sell the goods only on selective basis whose credit worthiness and they are financially sound. That is, they are giving the credit only to the financially sound people and to the and who is having high credit worthiness. That is, they are having high capability of paying the credit again. Okay, then coming to important dimensions of this credit policy, that is credit policy, as we have just now gone for principles. That is, credit policy is nothing but on which principles, on which standards we are giving, we are extending our credit to the customers. That, as we have discussed, that credit policy is of two types, that is stringent credit policy and liberal credit policy. Then coming to credit evaluation. Credit evaluation is nothing but proper evaluation of credit worthiness of the customers, which in, that is, we will evaluate the customer, that is how worthy, how he is able to pay money. That is, he, see here it involves three different steps. Obtain credit information, that is we will obtain information about the customer, analyze the information which we obtain from the customers, and take a decision regarding the amount to be credited. For example, I want to give you the money. I am not going to directly give you the money. What I will do, I will collect the information from you. That is, what is your credit net worthiness, what is your assets, what is your background and all. And I will go for analysis of it. And then I will take the decision how much of money I have to give to you. That is called as credit evaluation. Okay. Next one is credit control. Credit control is nothing but how we are going to collect our credit. That is how we have extended the credit to a particular person, and we are going to collect at a faster rate, and we are monitoring the receivables. Okay. Then coming to objectives of this credit receivables management is nothing but maximizing the value of the customers. Maximizing the value of the firm. The main objective of this is to minimize the rescue of bad debts and maximizing of order. That is, what is the bad debts? Bad debts is nothing but if you extend the credit to a particular person, if you give credit to a particular person, the amount will not get back. That is called as bad debts. Okay. Recently, we have gone with the news that the 64,000 crores has been abolished. That is sorry. I'm sorry. Our government has cancelled debts of 64,000 to those people who are of big people. Okay, that we call as bad debts. తిరిగిరాని అప్పులు, తెలుగులో చెప్పుకోవాలంటే తిరిగిరాని అప్పులు. Okay, right? See that we are minimizing the bad debts and maximizing the order. Okay, in order to maximize the wealth of the firm and to retain the old customers and to attract the new customers, we need the receivables management and auto investment in sundry debtors. As we know, the receivables is a current assets. We have to take care that we have to invest optimally in the sundry debtors. That is our receivables. Controlling and managing the cost credit. When there are no credit sales, there will not be any trade credit cost. But credit sales increase the profit. It is possible only when the firm is able to keep the cost minimum. That is, the cost should be minimum, sales should be maximum, so that the profit will increases. Okay. Then coming to cost of receivables management, collection cost, that is the cost which is incurred in collecting the receivables. I have given you money. After 3 months of time, I will get back my money. And to collect the money, I have to write a letters to you that give me my credit back. That cost we call as collection cost. That is the cost incurred in collecting the receivables from the customers to whom credit sales have been made. We call it as collection cost. Okay. Then coming to capital cost is the cost on the use of additional capital to support credit sales which alternatively could have been employed elsewhere. That is the cost which we use from the capital to support our credit sales. Okay. Then administrative cost, that is our staff, maintaining of records, maintaining of relationship, and cost of investigation, collecting information of the credit of the collect information regarding the credit worthiness. These are all comes under administrative expenses. Next, coming to default costs. Default costs are the overdue costs, overdue that cannot be recovered. That is bad debts. Bad debts. Okay, this also comes under cost of receivables management. Then coming to credit standards, or we can say we have mentioned here credit. You see here mentioned here credit standards. That is credit policy. Credit period. What is the credit period? That is based on our company's cash flow cycle. We will extend the credit period. If our company is having good amount of cash, if our company is having good amount of current assets, then we can extend the credit period for a longer period of time. If our company is having less amount of cash, less amount of current assets, then we will extend the time period to less. Okay. Then coming to some of the standards, that is sales level. If the firm want to increase the sales level, they have to liberalize the credit policy and terms and conditions. When the firm maintain more sales, there will be possibility to generate large number of receivables. That is, whenever the firm want to increase its sales, whenever the firm want to increase its profit, then we have to follow the liberalized policy. Okay. Then coming to credit policy. Liberal credit policy leads to increase of sales. That is, whenever we give our credit, we sell our goods on credit basis, then our profits are increased. Our profits are increased, and automatically the sales value increase. That is, size of receivables, size of receivables also increase, profit also increase. See here, see it is simply mentioned that liberal credit policy leads to increase in the sales volume and also increase in the size of receivables. Stringent policy reduce the size of receivables. That is, the liberal policy increase the sales, stringent policy decreases the sales. Then coming to credit terms. Credit terms specify the repayment terms required for credit receivable. Depending upon the credit terms, size of receivables may increase or decrease. That is, on which time we have to pay, right? What is the conditions, standards? These are all comes under credit terms. Okay. Credit period. That is, what is the time period that we extend to pay back. For example, I have given you money today and I am expecting after 3 months. This 3 months we call it as credit period. Okay. Cash discounts. That is, if you pay earlier, before 3 months, I will give you discount. That we call as cash discount. That is, cash discount is incentive to the customers to make early payments, on due date. That is, we said that we are expecting after 3 months. If any customer has paid before 3 months, then we will give him a cash discount or special discount provided to the customers for his payment before the due date. Okay. And management of receivables. When the management involves systematic approaches to receivable, the firm can reduce the size of the receivable. That is, it has to be optimally maintained without any wastages. Okay. Right. Next coming to receivables turnover ratio. What is this receivables turnover ratio? Receivables turnover ratio is nothing but it shows the relationship between credit sales and debtors. It shows the relationship between credit sales and the debtors. Debtors is nothing but receivables. That is, how much we have gone for on credit sales and how much we have to receive. That is, it indicates how quickly, what is the receivables turnover ratio is nothing but how quickly receivables are converted into cash. How quickly receivables are converted into cash. Coming to the formula of it, the formula for this receivables turnover ratio is credit sales divided by average debtors or average receivables. That is, how much of credit sales we have done and what is the average debtors, average receivables. Okay, we'll go for a problem also for this. Then coming to average collection period. That is, the collection period collection period is a significant measure how long it takes from the time of sales made to the time to cash is collected from the customers. That is, see here, receivable turnover is the rate, that is how much of percentage we are able to convert our receivables into cash. See, don't get confused. Receivables turnover ratio is nothing but it indicates how quickly, what is the percentage, how fastly we are able to convert our receivables into cash. Okay, whereas average collection period is nothing but what is the time taken to convert our debtors into cash. It is represented in the form of rate. It is represented in the form of days. Coming to formula of it, accounts convertible period is equal to 365 days divided by debtors turnover ratio. This is our debtor turnover rate, that is 365 days by credit sales divided by average debtors. Okay, very simple. Accounts collection period is equal to 365 days by credit sales divided by average debtors or receivables. Okay, right, next. Okay, let us go for a small problem on it. In a fiscal year ended December 31st, 2017, there was 1 lakh gross credit sales and returns of 10,000. Starting and ending account receivables for the year was 10,000 and 15,000 respectively. How many times the company collects its average account receivable over the period? That is, the company's sales, gross sales is 1 lakh, and its returns, that is cash returns, is 10,000. That is, I have made a sales of 10 lakhs and I get 10,000 rupees back. So what is the credit sales here? 1 lakh minus 10,000, is it not? 1 lakh minus, that is gross sales minus his amount that he got. I made 1 lakh rupees of sales, 10,000 I get back, 90,000 I have to be get, that is our receivables. That is our cash, credit sales by average debtors. What is the formula of average debtors? Average debtors formula is starting receivables plus ending receivables by 2. That is opening receivables plus closing receivables by 2, so that we get 7.2 times 7.3. So the account receivables is approximately 7.2 times over the fiscal year ended. Okay, then coming to what is the average collection period here? See, I think you understand. That is sales minus cash sales, total sales minus cash sales, which gives us credit sales. What is the formula of credit sales? Credit sales is nothing but sales minus cash sales. Is it not? And average receivables is opening receivables plus closing receivables by 2, which gives us 7.2 times. See, the rate is 7.2 times. Then what is the average collection period is 365 days by receivables turnover ratio. Here the receivables turnover ratio is 7.2, receivable turnover rate is 7.2. So the average collection period is 50.61. So we consider therefore the average customer takes 51 days to pay their debt back. Okay, clear? That is the customer will take 51 days to pay his money back. Okay, this is the simple problem. That is sales is 1 lakh, credit sales, and then we have opening debtors, closing debtors, sales minus cash sales, opening debtors, closing debtors by 2, that is 7.2 is the rate, and then average collection period is, see, the accounts receivable turnover in days shows the average number of days that the customer take to pay back to the company. That is 365 by receivable turnover ratio, 365 by 7.2, which gives us 50.69. We consider it as 51 days. So the time taken to pay back by the customers is 51 days. Okay, this is our simple brief about our receivables management. If you have any doubts, you can contact me. Thank you.